Have you ever felt there's more to life than what you can see? Like there's some kind of hidden power inside you, just waiting to be tapped into? Well, you're not alone. Many people feel this way, and they're right. There is more to life, and there is a hidden power within you. It's called spiritual power, and it's something we all have, even if we don't know it yet. Imagine waking up every day feeling full of energy, purpose, and joy. Picture yourself facing life's challenges with a sense of calm and inner strength. Think about how it would feel to truly understand yourself and your place in the world. This isn't just a dream. It's what can happen when you unlock your spiritual power. Today, I'm going to show you how to tap into this amazing power inside you. It's not about learning magic tricks or becoming a guru. It's about connecting with the deepest part of yourself and using that connection to transform your life. Whether you're feeling lost, stuck, or just curious about what more life has to offer, this journey into spiritual power is for you. Now, you might be thinking, sounds great, but what exactly is spiritual power? Don't worry, we're going to dive into that soon. But first, let's talk about why this matters so much. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions in life? Maybe you wake up, go to work, come home, watch some TV, and then do it all over again the next day. It's like you're stuck on a hamster wheel, running and running but never really getting anywhere. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many people feel this way, and it's one of the biggest signs that you're not tapping into your spiritual power. When you're not connected to your spiritual side, life can feel empty, meaningless, or just plain hard. You might find yourself always worried about the future or stuck thinking about the past. Maybe you feel tired all the time, even when you get enough sleep. Or perhaps you just can't shake the feeling that there should be more to life than what you're experiencing. This is where spiritual power comes in. It's like a key that unlocks a whole new way of living. When you tap into your spiritual power, everything changes. Suddenly, you start to see the beauty in everyday moments. You feel more connected to the people around you and to the world as a whole. Problems that used to seem huge start to look smaller, and you find strength you never knew you had. Unlocking your spiritual power isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more of who you truly are. It's about peeling away the layers of stress, worry, and disconnection to reveal the amazing person that's been there all along. Think about how your life would change if you felt calm and centered, even when things get crazy around you. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of purpose and excitement for what's ahead. Picture yourself making decisions with confidence, knowing that you're in tune with your inner wisdom. This isn't just feel-good talk. Tapping into your spiritual power can have real, practical benefits in your life. People who are connected to their spiritual side often report better physical health, stronger relationships, and even more success in their careers. They're better able to handle stress, bounce back from setbacks, and find creative solutions to problems. But here's the thing. Unlocking your spiritual power isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey, and like any journey, it starts with a single step. If you're ready to take that step, to start transforming your life from the inside out, then keep watching. I'm going to show you exactly how to begin this incredible journey. Remember, you already have this power within you. It's not something you need to get from someone else or buy in a store. It's a natural part of who you are. All you need to do is learn how to access it and let it flow. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Now that we understand why spiritual power is so important, let's dive into what it actually is. Don't worry if this concept feels a bit mysterious right now. By the end of this section, you'll have a clear understanding of what spiritual power means and how it shows up in your life. At its core, spiritual power is the strength that comes from connecting with something bigger than yourself. It's that inner voice that guides you, the feeling of peace that washes over you when you're in nature, or the sudden burst of creativity that seems to come out of nowhere. Spiritual power is what helps you see the bigger picture when you're stuck in the details of everyday life. But here's the important thing to remember. Spiritual power isn't some mystical force that only special people have. It's not about being religious or following a specific set of beliefs. Spiritual power is a natural part of being human. We all have it, just like we all have the ability to think or feel emotions. Think of spiritual power like a muscle. Everyone has muscles, but not everyone exercises them regularly. When you work out your physical muscles, they get stronger and more useful in your daily life. The same is true for your spiritual power. When you learn to tap into it and use it regularly, it becomes a powerful force in your life. Intuition. Have you ever had a gut feeling about something that turned out to be right? That's your spiritual power at work. It's like an inner compass that helps guide you in the right direction. Resilience. When life knocks you down, spiritual power is what helps you get back up. It's the inner strength that tells you, you can handle this, even when things are tough. Compassion. Spiritual power helps you connect with others on a deeper level. It's what allows you to really understand and care about other people's experiences. Creativity. Those moments when ideas seem to flow effortlessly, that's often your spiritual power opening up channels of creativity within you. Peace. The ability to stay calm in stressful situations comes from spiritual power. It's like an inner wellspring of tranquility that you can access when you need it. Purpose. Spiritual power helps you understand why you're here and what you're meant to do. It gives your life a sense of meaning and direction. Gratitude. When you're connected to your spiritual power, you start to notice and appreciate the good things in your life, no matter how small. Now, you might be thinking, I don't think I've experienced any of these things. Does that mean I don't have spiritual power? Absolutely not. Remember, we all have this power within us. If you haven't noticed it in your life, it might just mean that you haven't learned how to access it yet. Think of it like this. Imagine you had a smartphone, but no one ever showed you how to turn it on or use it. The phone would have all sorts of amazing capabilities, but they'd be useless to you because you didn't know how to access them. Your spiritual power is the same way. It's always there, but you need to learn how to turn it on and use it. The good news is, learning to tap into your spiritual power is a skill that anyone can develop. It doesn't require any special talents or abilities. All it takes is a willingness to look inside yourself and a commitment to practice. As we go through the rest of this video, we're going to explore practical ways to unlock your spiritual power. These are techniques and habits that you can start using right away to connect with your inner strength. Some of them might feel a bit strange at first, and that's okay. Remember, you're learning a new skill. Be patient with yourself and keep an open mind. Before we move on to those practical steps, I want to share a personal story with you. A few years ago, I was going through a really tough time in my life. I felt lost, stressed, and completely disconnected from myself and others. It was like I was just going through the motions of life without really living. One day, I decided to take a walk in the park near my house. As I was walking, I started to pay attention to the trees, the sky, and the sounds of birds chirping. Suddenly, I felt this wave of calm wash over me. For a moment, all my worries disappeared, and I felt connected to something bigger than myself. It was like I could feel the energy of life flowing through everything around me, including me. That moment was my first real experience of tapping into my spiritual power. It wasn't dramatic or earth-shattering, but it was profound. It showed me that there was more to life than my daily struggles and worries. It gave me a glimpse of the peace and strength that was always available to me, if only I knew how to access it. From that day on, I started to actively work on connecting with my spiritual power. It wasn't always easy, and there were plenty of times when I felt like I wasn't making any progress. But little by little, I started to notice changes in my life. I felt more peaceful, more confident, and more connected to others. I started to see opportunities where before I only saw obstacles. I'm sharing this story with you because I want you to know that unlocking your spiritual power is a journey, and it's different for everyone. Your experiences might not look like mine, and that's okay. What's important is that you start the journey and stay open to what you discover along the way. As we move forward, remember that unlocking your spiritual power is not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of stress, worry, and disconnection to reveal the amazing, powerful person you've always been. In the next sections, we're going to explore practical steps you can take to start unlocking your spiritual power. These are techniques that have worked for me and for many others. Some of them might resonate with you right away, while others might take some time to get used to. That's perfectly normal. The key is to approach this journey with an open mind and a willingness to try new things. Remember, your spiritual power is always there, waiting for you to tap into it. It's a natural part of who you are. All you need to do is learn how to access it and let it flow. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. So, are you ready to start unlocking your spiritual power? Are you ready to discover the strength, peace, and purpose that's been inside you all along? If so, let's dive into the practical steps that will help you on this amazing journey. Get ready to transform your life from the inside out. Have you ever felt like something's missing in your life, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is? That feeling of emptiness or disconnection is often a sign that you're not tapping into your spiritual power. Let's talk about some common signs that you might be overlooked this incredible inner resource. First, there's feeling tired all the time. I'm not talking about the kind of tiredness that comes from staying up too late or working hard. This is a deep, soul-level exhaustion that sleep doesn't seem to fix. You might wake up in the morning feeling just as drained as when you went to bed. It's like your batteries never fully recharge, no matter how much rest you get. Then there's the constant worry. When you're not connected to your spiritual power, even small problems can feel overwhelming. You might find yourself lying awake at night, your mind racing with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. It's like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, never able to relax and enjoy the present moment. Another big sign is losing your excitement for life. Remember when you were a kid and everything seemed amazing and full of possibilities? When you're disconnected from your spiritual power, that sense of wonder fades away. Life starts to feel boring or meaningless. You might go through your days on autopilot, not really engaging with the world around you. You might also notice that you're easily irritated or upset. Little things that wouldn't normally bother you suddenly feel like huge annoyances. You might snap at loved ones or get frustrated over minor setbacks. It's like your inner peace has disappeared, leaving you feeling raw and on edge all the time. Feeling lost or without purpose is another common sign. You might wake up in the morning and think, "What's the point of all this?" You go through the motions of your daily life, but you're not sure why you're doing what you're doing. It's like you're walking through a fog, unable to see the path ahead. Lastly, you might feel disconnected from others. Even when you're surrounded by people, you might feel lonely or misunderstood. It's like there's an invisible wall between you and the rest of the world, preventing you from forming deep, meaningful connections. I want to share a personal story with you about a time when I experienced many of these signs. A few years ago, I was working a job I didn't love, living in a city that didn't feel like home, and going through the motions of a relationship that had lost its spark. On paper, my life looked fine. I had a steady job, a roof over my head, and people who cared about me. But inside, I felt empty and lost. Every morning, I dragged myself out of bed, feeling exhausted before the day even began. I'd go to work, counting down the hours until I could go home. But even when I got home, I didn't feel any better. I'd spend my evenings zoning out in front of the TV, not really enjoying anything, just passing time until I could go to sleep and start the whole cycle over again. I remember one day, sitting in traffic on my way to work, when a thought hit me like a ton of bricks. Is this all there is to life? The thought scared me, but it also woke me up. I realized that I had been sleepwalking through my own life, completely disconnected from my inner self and the world around me. That moment was a turning point for me. It made me realize that something had to change. I didn't know exactly what needed to change or how to do it, but I knew I couldn't keep living that way. That realization was the first step on my journey to reconnecting with my spiritual power. If you're experiencing any of these signs, the constant tiredness, the worry, the lack of excitement, the irritability, the feeling of being lost or disconnected, I want you to know that you're not alone. These feelings are common, especially in our busy, often stressful modern world. But more importantly, I want you to know that these feelings are not permanent. They're not who you truly are. They're just signs that you've lost touch with your inner spiritual power. The good news is, recognizing these signs is the first step towards change. By noticing how disconnected you feel, you're already starting to wake up to the reality that there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. You're starting to hear that quiet inner voice that's been trying to guide you back to your true self. In the next sections, we're going to explore practical ways to reconnect with your spiritual power. These are steps you can start taking right away to shift from feeling disconnected and drained to feeling energized, purposeful, and alive. Remember, your spiritual power hasn't gone anywhere. It's always been there, waiting for you to tap into it. And that's exactly what we're going to learn how to do. Now that we've talked about the signs of spiritual disconnection, let's dive into the first and most important step in unlocking your spiritual power: quieting your mind. In our busy, noisy world, learning to quiet your mind might seem impossible. But trust me, it's not only possible, it's essential for tapping into your inner strength and wisdom. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a pool of water. When the water is churning and full of waves, it's hard to see what's beneath the surface. But when the water is calm and still, you can see right to the bottom. Your spiritual power is like the treasures at the bottom of that pool. To access it, you need to calm the waters of your mind. So, how do we do this? One of the most effective ways is through a simple breathing exercise. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Breathing? I do that all day, every day. How is that going to help? But hear me out. This isn't just regular breathing. This is conscious, focused breathing that helps quiet the constant chatter in your mind. Find a comfortable place to sit or lie down. You don't need any special equipment or setup. Just find a spot where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes. Close your eyes. This helps reduce distractions and turns your attention inward. Take a deep breath in through your nose, counting to 4 as you do. Hold that breath for a count of 4. Now, slowly exhale through your mouth, counting to 4 again. Repeat this cycle for at least 5 minutes. That's it. It's that simple. But don't let its simplicity fool you. This exercise is powerful. As you focus on your breath, you'll notice that the constant stream of thoughts in your mind starts to slow down. It might not stop completely, and that's okay. The goal isn't to have no thoughts at all. The goal is to create some space between your thoughts, like clearing small patches of blue sky on a cloudy day. Now, when you first try this, you might find it challenging. Your mind might wander. You might start thinking about your to-do list, or that awkward conversation you had yesterday, or what you're going to have for dinner. That's completely normal. When you notice your mind wandering, just gently bring your attention back to your breath. No judgment, no frustration. Just redirect your focus. I want to share a personal experience with you about learning to quiet my mind. When I first started practicing this breathing exercise, I found it incredibly difficult. My mind was like a hyperactive puppy, bouncing from one thought to another. I'd sit down to breathe, and within seconds, I'd be planning my grocery list or replaying an argument in my head. I remember feeling frustrated and thinking, I'm no good at this. Maybe I'm just not cut out for spiritual stuff. But I kept at it. Every day, I'd set aside just 5 minutes to practice. Some days were better than others. Some days, I'd feel a moment of calm. Other days, it felt like I was wrestling with my own thoughts the entire time. But here's the thing. Even on those bad days, when I felt like I wasn't making any progress, something was happening. I started to notice that I was becoming more aware of my thoughts. I could catch myself when I started to worry or overthink. It was like I had created a tiny bit of space between me and my thoughts. And then, one day, something amazing happened. I was doing my usual breathing exercise, and suddenly, I felt this wave of calm wash over me. For a few moments, my mind was quiet. I could hear the sound of my own breath, the ticking of the clock in the room. I felt fully present, fully alive. It was like I had tapped into a wellspring of peace inside myself. That experience showed me the power of quieting my mind. It wasn't about forcing my thoughts to stop. It was about creating space, about learning to observe my thoughts without getting caught up in them. And in that space, I could feel my connection to something bigger than myself. I could feel my own inner strength and wisdom. Now, I'm not saying that every time you do this breathing exercise, you'll have some profound spiritual experience. Some days, it might just feel like a nice, relaxing break in your day. And that's okay. The important thing is the practice itself. Every time you take a few minutes to quiet your mind, you're strengthening your ability to tap into your spiritual power. I encourage you to try this breathing exercise for just 5 minutes a day. You can do it first thing in the morning, during your lunch break, or right before bed. Find a time that works for you and make it a regular part of your routine. It might feel awkward or difficult at first, but stick with it. Remember, you're developing a new skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. As you make this a regular part of your life, you'll start to notice changes. You might find that you're less reactive to stress. You might start to feel more centered and grounded throughout your day. You might even start to hear that quiet inner voice of wisdom more clearly. Quieting your mind is the first step in unlocking your spiritual power because it creates the space for you to connect with your inner self. It's like clearing away the clutter so you can see what's truly important. In the noise and busyness of everyday life, we often lose touch with our deeper selves. This simple practice of quiet breathing helps you find your way back. Remember, your spiritual power is always there. It's not something you need to create or find outside of yourself. It's a natural part of who you are. By learning to quiet your mind, you're simply removing the obstacles that have been blocking your access to this inner strength. You're creating the conditions that allow your spiritual power to naturally emerge and flow. Now that we've learned how to quiet our minds, let's talk about another powerful way to unlock your spiritual power: connecting with nature. In our modern world, it's easy to forget that we're part of the natural world. We spend so much time indoors, surrounded by technology, that we can lose touch with the rhythms and energies of nature. But reconnecting with the natural world can be a profound way to tap into your spiritual power. Think about the last time you were in nature, maybe walking through a forest, sitting by the ocean, or even just spending time in a local park. How did you feel? Chances are, you felt more relaxed, more centered, maybe even more alive. That's because nature has a way of reminding us of our place in the bigger picture. It connects us to something larger than ourselves. Connecting with nature doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. You don't need to go on a week-long wilderness retreat or climb a mountain, although those can be amazing experiences. There are simple ways to bring more nature into your everyday life. Take a daily walk outside. Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, getting outside and moving your body can help you feel more connected to the natural world. Bring plants into your home or workspace. Having living plants around you can help you feel more connected to nature, even when you're indoors. Eat your meals outside when possible. Whether it's having your morning coffee on the porch or eating your lunch in a nearby park, eating outdoors can help you slow down and appreciate the natural world. Watch the sunset or sunrise. Taking time to observe these daily natural events can help you feel more in tune with the rhythms of the earth. Go barefoot on grass or sand. This practice, sometimes called earthing, can help you feel literally grounded and connected to the earth. Tend a garden, even if it's just a few herbs in a windowsill pot. Growing something with your own hands can be a deeply satisfying way to connect with nature. Now, I want to share a personal story about how connecting with nature helped me tap into my spiritual power. A few years ago, I was going through a really stressful time in my life. I was working long hours, hardly sleeping, and feeling completely disconnected from myself and others. I felt like I was running on empty, with no idea how to refill my tank. One weekend, on a whim, I decided to go for a hike in a nearby state park. I hadn't been out in nature for months, maybe even years. As I started walking on the trail, I noticed something strange happening. The further I got from the parking lot and the deeper I went into the forest, the more I could feel the tension in my body start to release. I remember stopping at one point and just standing still, listening to the sounds around me. The rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, the distant sound of a stream. And suddenly, I felt this wave of emotion wash over me. It was like all the stress and worry I'd been carrying just melted away. I felt tears come to my eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief, of release. In that moment, standing in the middle of the forest, I felt more connected to myself and to the world around me than I had in years. I could feel the energy of the trees, the earth beneath my feet, the sky above me. It was like I could sense the life force flowing through everything, including me. I realized that I wasn't separate from nature. I was part of it. That experience was a turning point for me. It showed me the power of connecting with nature to tap into my own inner strength and wisdom. From that day on, I made a commitment to spend more time in nature, even if it was just a few minutes each day. Now, your experience might not be as dramatic as mine. You might not have some big emotional release the first time you go for a walk in the park, and that's okay. The power of connecting with nature isn't always in big, dramatic moments. Often, it's in the small, everyday experiences, the peace you feel when you watch a sunset, the sense of wonder you get when you notice a flower blooming, the way your breath naturally deepens when you're surrounded by trees. As you start to connect more with nature, you might notice some changes in how you feel. You might find that you feel more calm and centered. You might start to notice the beauty in small things that you used to overlook. You might even find that you have more energy or that you sleep better at night. But beyond these physical and emotional benefits, connecting with nature can also help you tap into your spiritual power in a deeper way. Nature has a way of putting our human concerns into perspective. When you stand at the edge of the ocean or look up at a starry sky, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe and wonder. This feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself is a key aspect of spiritual power. Nature also teaches us important spiritual lessons. The changing seasons show us that change is a natural part of life. The growth of a tiny seed into a big tree reminds us of our own potential for growth and transformation. The interconnectedness of ecosystems mirrors the interconnectedness of all life, including our own. As you practice connecting with nature, try to approach it with a sense of openness and curiosity. Use all your senses. Notice the colors and shapes around you. Listen to the sounds. Feel the air or sun on your skin. Smell the scents of plants or earth. Try to be fully present in the moment, just as you practiced with the breathing exercise. Remember, connecting with nature isn't about achieving some specific goal or having a particular type of experience. It's simply about being present and open to the natural world around you. Every time you do this, you're creating an opportunity to tap into your spiritual power, to reconnect with your true self and with the larger web of life that you're a part of. So I encourage you to make connecting with nature a regular part of your life. Start small if you need to. Even just a few minutes outside each day can make a difference. As you do this, pay attention to how you feel. Notice any changes in your mood, your energy levels, your sense of connection to yourself and others. You might be surprised at how powerful this simple practice can be in helping you unlock your spiritual power. Now that we've explored the power of quieting our minds and connecting with nature, let's dive into another crucial practice for unlocking your spiritual power: gratitude. You might be wondering, what does being thankful have to do with spiritual power? Well, as it turns out, gratitude is like a magic key that can open doors to abundance, joy, and deeper spiritual connection. Think about it this way. When you're focused on what's wrong in your life, what you don't have, or what's not going well, you're putting your energy into negativity. It's like you're wearing dark sunglasses that make everything look gloomy. But when you practice gratitude, it's like you're taking those sunglasses off. Suddenly, you can see all the good things in your life that you might have been overlooking. Gratitude isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting your focus to appreciate what you do have, even in the midst of challenges. This shift in focus can have a profound effect on your mood, your outlook on life, and your ability to tap into your spiritual power. Every night before you go to bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for that happened that day. They don't have to be big things. Maybe you're grateful for the delicious cup of coffee you had in the morning, or the smile from a stranger on the street, or the comfortable bed you're about to sleep in. Really take a moment to feel the gratitude. Don't just list things off, but actually connect with the feeling of appreciation for each thing. If you want, you can write these things down in a gratitude journal. Now, I want to share a personal story about how practicing gratitude changed my life. A few years ago, I was going through a really tough time. I had lost my job, was struggling financially, and was feeling pretty down about my life in general. I remember complaining to a friend about how unfair everything was, and she suggested I try this gratitude exercise. At first, I was skeptical. How could being grateful change anything when my life was such a mess? But I decided to give it a try. The first few nights were hard. I really had to search to find things to be grateful for, but I stuck with it. After about a week, something started to shift. I found myself noticing good things throughout my day, almost like I was collecting them to add to my gratitude list at night. I started to appreciate small things I had been taking for granted. The roof over my head, the food in my fridge, the support of my friends. As I continued this practice, I noticed bigger changes. I started feeling more positive and hopeful. I had more energy to put into my job search. I was kinder to myself and others. And here's the really amazing part. Opportunities started showing up in my life. It was like by focusing on gratitude, I had opened myself up to receiving more good things. Now, I'm not saying that practicing gratitude magically solved all my problems, but it did change how I approached those problems. It helped me tap into an inner strength and resilience I didn't know I had. It connected me to a sense of abundance, even when things were tough. As you start to practice gratitude, you might notice some changes in your life. You might find that you feel happier and more content. You might start to see opportunities that you overlooked before. You might even find that your relationships improve as you start to appreciate the people in your life more. But beyond these external changes, gratitude can also help you tap into your spiritual power in a deeper way. When you're grateful, you're acknowledging that there's good in your life, even if you're not the direct source of it. This can help you feel more connected to something larger than yourself. Whether you call that something God, the universe, or simply the interconnectedness of all life. Gratitude also helps shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. This abundance mindset is a key aspect of spiritual power. When you feel abundant, you're more likely to be generous with others, to take positive risks, and to trust in the flow of life. Remember, practicing gratitude is just that, a practice. Some days it might feel easy, and other days it might be a struggle to find things to be grateful for. That's okay. The power is in the practice itself, in the act of looking for the good even when it's not obvious. So I encourage you to make gratitude a regular part of your life. Start with the nightly exercise I mentioned and see how it affects your outlook. You might be surprised at how this simple practice can help you unlock your spiritual power and transform your life. As we continue on our journey to unlock spiritual power, we come to a practice that might surprise you: helping others. You might be wondering, how does helping others boost my own spiritual power? Well, the answer lies in the interconnected nature of all life. When we reach out to help others, we're not just benefiting them. We're also tapping into a profound source of spiritual energy and fulfillment for ourselves. Think about a time when you helped someone without expecting anything in return. Maybe you held the door open for a stranger, or helped a friend move, or volunteered at a local charity. How did you feel afterwards? Chances are, you felt good. There was probably a sense of warmth, of connection, maybe even a little boost of energy. That feeling is your spiritual power in action. Helping others doesn't have to be grand gestures or huge commitments. Small acts of kindness can be just as powerful. Here are some simple ways you can practice helping others. Smile at strangers you pass on the street. Offer to help a coworker with a task they're struggling with. Call a friend or family member who might be feeling lonely. Donate to a cause you care about, even if it's just a small amount. Offer to run errands for an elderly neighbor. Give a genuine compliment to someone. Now, let me share a personal story about how helping others boosted my own spiritual power. A few years ago, I was feeling pretty low. I was going through some personal struggles and felt disconnected from myself and others. One day, I saw a flyer asking for volunteers at a local soup kitchen. Even though I was feeling down, something compelled me to sign up. The first day I volunteered, I was nervous. I wasn't sure what to expect. But as I started serving food and talking with the people who came in for meals, something shifted inside me. I saw the gratitude in their eyes, heard their stories, and felt a deep sense of connection. For those few hours, I forgot about my own problems. I was fully present, fully engaged in the act of serving others. When I left that day, I felt different. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt more alive, more connected, more purposeful. I realized that by helping others, I had inadvertently helped myself. I had tapped into a wellspring of spiritual energy that I didn't even know was there. From that day on, I made helping others a regular part of my life. Sometimes it was through formal volunteering, but more often it was through small acts of kindness in my daily life. Each time I reached out to help someone else, I felt that same sense of connection and purpose. It was like I was plugging into a universal source of positive energy. As you start to incorporate helping others into your life, you might notice some changes. You might find that you feel more connected to the people around you. You might experience a greater sense of purpose and meaning in your life. You might even find that your own problems don't seem as overwhelming when you're focused on helping others. But beyond these personal benefits, helping others can also boost your spiritual power in deeper ways. When we help others, we're acting from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. We're recognizing that we have something to give, even if it's just our time or attention. This abundance mindset is a key aspect of spiritual power. Helping others also reminds us of our interconnectedness. In a world that often feels divided, acts of kindness create bridges between people. They remind us that at our core, we're all human, all worthy of compassion and care. This sense of unity is a powerful spiritual truth that can transform how we see ourselves and the world. Moreover, when we help others, we often gain perspective on our own lives. We might realize that our problems aren't as big as we thought, or we might gain new insights into how to handle our own challenges. This broader perspective is another aspect of spiritual power. Remember, the goal isn't to help others in order to get something for yourself. The power comes from the act of giving itself, without expectation of return. It's about opening your heart and connecting with others from a place of compassion and love. So I encourage you to look for ways to help others in your daily life. Start small if you need to. Hold the door for someone, offer a kind word to a stressed-out cashier, or reach out to a friend who's going through a tough time. Pay attention to how you feel when you do these things. You might be surprised at how these small acts of kindness can help you tap into your spiritual power and transform your life. As we near the end of our journey to unlock spiritual power, it's crucial to talk about one of the most important aspects of this process: consistency. All the practices we've discussed, quieting your mind, connecting with nature, practicing gratitude, and helping others, are powerful tools. But their true transformative power comes when you practice them regularly. Think about it like exercise. If you go to the gym once and lift some weights, you might feel good that day, but you're not going to see significant changes in your strength or fitness. It's only when you exercise regularly, over time, that you start to see real transformation. The same is true for spiritual practices. Consistency doesn't mean you have to spend hours each day on spiritual practices. It's about making these practices a regular part of your life, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Here are some tips for staying consistent. Start small. Don't try to do everything at once. Maybe start with just 5 minutes of quiet breathing each day, or writing down one thing you're grateful for. Set a specific time. Try to do your practices at the same time each day. This helps make them a habit. Be gentle with yourself. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just start again the next day. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your practices and how you feel. This can help motivate you to continue. Adjust as needed. If a particular practice isn't resonating with you, it's okay to try something different. Now, I want to share a personal story about the power of consistency in unlocking spiritual power. When I first started on this journey, I was really excited. I tried to do everything at once: meditate for an hour each day, spend time in nature, write long gratitude lists, volunteer every weekend. For about a week, I kept it up. But then life got busy, and I started to slip. I'd skip a day here, a day there. Soon, I wasn't doing any of my practices regularly. I felt discouraged. I thought maybe I just wasn't cut out for this spiritual stuff. But then I remembered something a wise friend had told me. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. So I decided to start over, but this time, I started small. I committed to just 5 minutes of quiet breathing each morning and writing down one thing I was grateful for each night. That was it. It didn't feel like much, but I figured it was better than nothing. At first, it didn't seem like much was happening, but I stuck with it. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Slowly, I started to notice changes. I felt calmer throughout my day. I started to appreciate the little things in life more. I found myself naturally wanting to help others more often. As these small practices became habits, I gradually added more. I started taking short walks in nature a few times a week. I looked for small ways to help others each day, but I never pushed myself to do more than felt manageable. Over time, these consistent, small practices led to big changes in my life. I felt more connected to myself and others. I had a greater sense of peace and purpose. I was better able to handle stress and challenges. I realized that I had indeed tapped into my spiritual power, not through grand gestures or intense retreats, but through small, consistent daily practices. As you embark on your own journey to unlock your spiritual power, remember that consistency is key. It's not about being perfect or doing everything all at once. It's about making these practices a regular part of your life, even if it's just in small ways. You might not notice big changes right away, and that's okay. Spiritual growth often happens slowly, in ways we might not immediately recognize. But if you stay consistent with your practices, you'll likely start to notice subtle shifts. Maybe you'll feel calmer in stressful situations. Maybe you'll find yourself appreciating the little things more. Maybe you'll feel more connected to others and to the world around you. Remember, unlocking your spiritual power is a journey, not a destination. There's no finish line to cross, no point at which you can say, okay, I've done it. I'm finished. It's an ongoing process of growth, discovery, and connection. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small victories. If you miss a day of practice, don't worry, just start again the next day. What matters most is that you keep coming back to these practices, keep opening yourself to growth and transformation. As we come to the end of this exploration of how to unlock your spiritual power, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered. We've talked about the importance of quieting your mind, connecting with nature, practicing gratitude, helping others, and staying consistent with these practices. Remember, spiritual power isn't something outside of you that you need to acquire. It's already within you, waiting to be awakened and nurtured. These practices we've discussed are tools to help you tap into that innate power, to help you connect with your true self and with the world around you in a deeper, more meaningful way. Your journey to unlocking your spiritual power is unique to you. What resonates strongly with one person might not work as well for another. That's why it's important to approach this journey with an open mind and a willingness to experiment. Try different practices, see what feels right for you, and be willing to adjust your approach as you go along. As you continue on this path, you might encounter challenges. There might be days when you don't feel like practicing, when you question whether it's making a difference, or when life gets busy and it's hard to find time for these practices. That's all normal and part of the journey. The key is to keep coming back to your practices, even if it's just in small ways. Remember that unlocking your spiritual power isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of stress, worry, and disconnection to reveal the amazing, powerful person you've always been. As you tap into your spiritual power, you might notice changes in your life. You might feel more peaceful, more connected to others, more in tune with your purpose. You might find that you're better able to handle life's challenges with grace and resilience. You might discover strengths and abilities within yourself that you never knew you had. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about this journey is that as you unlock your own spiritual power, you also contribute to the world around you. Your peace, your gratitude, your kindness ripple out and touch the lives of others. In this way, your personal spiritual journey becomes a gift not just to yourself, but to the world. So as you go forward from here, I encourage you to be gentle with yourself. Start small, stay consistent, and be open to the journey. Trust that the power you're seeking is already within you, waiting to be awakened. And remember, every small step you take on this path is valuable and worthwhile. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of how to unlock your spiritual power. May your journey be filled with discovery, growth, and deep connection. Remember, you have everything you need within you. Trust yourself, trust the process, and watch as your innate spiritual power begins to shine through in every aspect of your life.